wanted to be the best version of myself. And I think that's growth that happens when you realize that you're capable of so much more.
Hello there, it's me, Steve Mellor, and welcome in to GrowthReady, the podcast that allows high performers to reveal the reality behind what it means to ready yourself for growth, the personal and professional challenges along the growth journey, while also allowing the high performance executive coach in me to satisfy his curiosity toward what drives optimal performance. On this episode, we interview new business owner and insurance professional Justin Burgess, who brings a truly renewed perspective on growth as he sees the personal work behind building professional confidence, as he identifies the main areas worth investing in and assessing when it comes to performing at optimal levels. All so you can know you'll be ready to take a chance on growth and yourself. Hey guys, as we get started here with the episode, I want to just take 1 minute of your time to make a request for you to subscribe and rate the show. For our show to be easily discovered by other potential listeners, we need our current listeners, that's you, to take the time to not only subscribe, but to also rate the show. Whether you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, whatever platform of choice, there are typically ways to be rating the show. So go ahead and click something like that 5th star and be sure to take that additional time to leave a comment or two about why it is you enjoy listening to the GrowthReady podcast. Your efforts on this will allow our show to be more discoverable, which means we're going to find more listeners and continue to have that significant impact on the community of human performance and personal development that I know you are all benefiting from by being listeners to this show. Please go ahead, take the time, subscribe, rate the show today. Hey, and while you're at it, why don't you share it with a few people as well? I appreciate you guys. Let's get to the interview. Hello and welcome back into the most recent installment of GrowthReady. I am very excited to have a fellow Louisiana-based individual. I try not to say Louisianian because it's pretty clear that that is not what I am. But at the same time, I'm glad to have someone from within the bayou joining me on the show today, and that of Justin Burgess. And Justin, this has been a long time coming. I reached out to you a few months ago now, and our worlds, we have a lot of people in common that we seem to have networks that certainly flirt with one another's, and I've been very interested to not only get to know you, but to definitely ask you the most important question that I ask everybody as we get started, and that is, Justin, what does it mean to you to be growth ready?
Yeah, so my entire adult life, I was okay being mediocre, being average. And about 3 years ago, and honestly, I was 4. My son's about to be 5, so he's 4. And I just didn't want to be average anymore. I wanted to be the best version of myself. And I think that's growth that happens when you realize that you're capable of so much more. One of the guys I look up to is Nick Bear. He owns BPN Supplements, and his motto is go one more. And I've really thought about that. I'm like, man, you could always go one more. You can always grow. You can always be better than what you were yesterday. I don't really like that 1% better each day motto, but I do realize that, you know, for the past 34 years of my adult life, I wasn't ready to grow. I was okay working for the man and being a corporate cog. And now I'm like, okay, I need to take ownership of my health, my family, my faith, and my business. And that's how I'm ready to grow.
I love the idea that all of this readiness that you now feel has been anchored in this notion of recognizing your capability to actually stop and say for a moment that while we can have so many reasons going on around us to work that little bit harder, to care that little bit more, as you've just alluded to there with the ownership you're taking in your health and your family and your spirituality and all these kind of things, there's so many different components that we can start to take greater ownership in, but the likelihood of us actually remaining true to that starts when we acknowledge what we're capable of actually achieving. So I'm curious, like, what was it that happened recently in the last couple of years for you to just simply say, like, hey, listen, this guy I see in the mirror right now, I've been selling this guy short so far. Like there's more that he has that he can be bringing to the table. And I think now is that time to start pursuing that.
It's my fitness, honestly. That I've always been active, and I played hockey. I actually played hockey in Baton Rouge for LSU for a little bit. And once I got out of college, once I got into work in America, corporate cog, I lost true to myself. I was overeating, drinking, going out with clients, which was all fun and part of the job. But I lost my physical attributes of being a young, healthy male, and got to, overweight, almost depressed version of myself. And that was part of COVID too. But I think once I controlled my health, I was like, okay, this person, I can do anything. I've lost 60 pounds so far in 3 years.
Wow. Good for you.
So, and I've held it off for a while.
That's awesome, man. And, I love where we can go with this conversation now, man, is this idea that so many of our conversations are around individuals who clearly have a career, clearly have a business, a success story, if you will, to come on here and speak to and allude to. And we're certainly going to get to some of the areas of your life now that you have so many reasons to be excited about, and that there's a real proof of success either happening or starting to happen. But for you to just say, listen, all of this that is possible now started when I decided that if I don't start looking after myself from a health standpoint, I'm really limiting myself in all other areas of life. I mean, is that what I'm hearing? Is that you felt that limitation on you because of that?
You lack confidence. You just don't look good in your own body. You feel like you're just not yourself. Then once you get your health under control, you're like, if I can do anything, I can go fly to California to go meet an employer and close that business, which I've done before. Yeah. But you just have that old self-belief in you.
Mm-hmm. So why do you think that is, at least from your perspective? Is that, because you're alluding to yet another fantastic point that we so often refuse to acknowledge, is that, when it comes to our careers and our jobs, we somehow find the effort that's required to go and hop on that plane and go to the other side of the country to meet with someone. But yet, if we have to be up at a certain time to make it to the gym in order to get to the gym that day, for whatever reason, we don't have that energy sometimes on a day-to-day basis, when one could argue one is much more strenuous than the other. So what is it, in your opinion, that has to change, or that changed for you to suddenly see that so many of these, habits that needed to form were possible to form?
It's a mental ability. I look at working out and lifting weights or running as like brushing my teeth. Like we do it every day subconsciously, just because we're told to do it every day. And if you want to achieve that's not the body you want, but like more just a lifestyle you want, you have to do things. Like I'm looking at my lunchbox. I went to the office today. I packed my lunch. I packed it with healthy food. Now I could have packed it with a cheeseburger and fries, but I'm making the choices in my daily life. Just like if I want to meet with 5 new employers this week, well, I have to get on the phone and start calling people to book meetings. So it's like time blocking. It's like every day I want to go do this in my day, just block time for it.
Yeah. Yeah. And something you alluded to there as well, man, is the idea that if we are going to do something, we have to make the time for it. So let's rewind now to when you had this aha moment. Like, it's time for Justin to start losing some weight. You're at the beginning of this 60-pound, removal that you've been able to achieve in the last 3 years. So what was some of those initial steps that you maybe took just to simply start allotting the time you needed to in order to make these changes?
It started with getting my blood work done. And I think I'm a big advocate of for men's getting their hormones checked. And I'm in the health insurance business, so we all get our free annual checkup. Well, unfortunately, that's not enough for a young, healthy adult. You have to get your doctor to run your testosterone levels, your actual hormone levels, to see how you're doing supplement wise. So that started it off. And just talking to my father, I was birthed my son. I remember calling him. I remember exactly where I was at in my house when I called him. And no one really talks about this kind of stuff with other men. And I find out he's been going to this doctor for his hormones for years. And he's like, just go get your blood work checked. And that kind of started the, hey, if I want to, I think we're all going to live older in this next generation. So I think if I want to live to 100, 120, well, I got to take care of my body now. I stopped drinking like 5 years ago, so I don't touch alcohol. I've never smoked. I do energy drinks. That's my vice. But I control it. So I'm like, okay, if I want to go and play with my kids at the park, like, and be the dad that's like running around with them, or do I want to be the dad that's like drinking a beer on the sideline? And there's nothing wrong with those dads that drink a beer on the sideline, but I want to be active. I love the outdoors.
It makes me want to. It makes me want to better understand as well. Like, how are you assessing performance now at this part of your life? Because a lot of the things that you just mentioned there, these aren't typically what people are assessing success by, and yet clearly you are. So talk to me a little bit about like what areas in your life now are you assessing performance?
I mean, sleep is one too. I think you look at like everything in your business and your personal life, you have to look at it like, me going to the gym once a day helps me be productive because my mind's clear and I'm not frustrated or this built up anger. If you're sleeping well, you're obviously going to be more productive the next day. But also it's the relationships that I've built in the fitness community that have gotten me business otherwise. And I started doing CrossFit. I did a couple competitions locally, and I'm not good at it by no means, but I've met people along the way that I consider really good friends. And I think when we're early on in our college adult life, you're doing intramurals, you're doing intramural baseball, football, or volleyball, then you just stop. And I'm like, oh, my friends are only insurance people, and Steve, who I've met online, like that's just not cool. Like, what happened to like, hey, you want to go to the bar or you want to go get dinner? And now I'm like, okay, let's go work out, or like after we work out, we all sit around, maybe talk for 15, 20 minutes before we go home. And I'm like, I'm friends with those guys more than the people that I have been friends with for 30 years, just because we did something hard together. And that shared community experience of doing hard things together with like-minded people. And I don't care if you're into fitness, if you're into bowling or knitting, if you're doing something with a community, you're building a relationship with somebody that you didn't know they had any interest in the same things as you.
It's powerful, man. I mean, you alluded to it earlier with your dad, is that, you know, you had some of those conversations with him and becoming a father when you're, you know, when you like, hey, I'm having a child, and I'm talking to my dad about what it means to look after myself, and then suddenly now here you are at this point, a few years later, truly pursuing relationships where you're given these opportunities to have better conversations, more truly intimate conversations where both parties are probably revealing a lot more about one another because of the level of respect you have for one another. Because like you said, like you're doing something hard together, and it's like by doing this hard thing together, suddenly now you're revealing a part of yourself that does require some significant vulnerability. It's like you're exposing how good you are at this hard thing, as is the person next to you, and you respect one another for that, no matter how great or new you might be to something like this. And I find that to be such a interesting point for folks to listen to. Is we've talked about it on the show numerous times, like who are you surrounding yourself with, but you're taking it one step further here in this conversation, Justin, by alluding to it's not just who you surround yourself with, but it's also the environment within which you choose to do that as well. And so how is that impacting just the rest of your day when you go back to these insurance people, for instance, that you alluded to before, that hey, maybe that environment wasn't bringing these kind of conversations out of you, so you went and found a different environment. So what do you take from these environments of the deeper relationships into the, let's say, the more surface level relationships that you maybe currently have on a more professional basis?
Well, I've started posting a lot more on social media, so LinkedIn, TikTok, YouTube, and I post my workouts to LinkedIn, which I think is a little bit of a taboo, but it's also brought me some people that are like, hey, I've been following you. I haven't really liked or commented anything, but thanks for sharing your journey and keep it up. And those are HR directors, those are CFOs, those are carrier people that I work with, all of which who, like, if someone calls me out the blue and be like, hey man, just, I work for this company, I want to talk to you. By the way, I've been following you for a while. Like that's cool versus like,
Mm.
hey, I want to do business with you because I see that you're the new kid on the block and you equal money to me. I want to work with people that I like and get along with. And that's for my carrier partners and my clients. Like my goal is to attract the CEOs and CFOs that like doing hard stuff. Like, do you want to be the best RV dealer in the country, or do you want to be just the one man show that operates? To be the best, you have to do the things that make you the best, and to be the best version of yourself, like you have to put in the work. And I'm not giving shade to people that are like, come into meetings looking sloppy, or like, do you have a planner? Like, I'm just thinking of the thing is like, if you come in with a planner and like, hey, this is like every meeting, do you have an act like this is our game plan for this agenda? Like, it just shows that you're not in it just for the financial reward. You're actually prepared.
You never need to preface a point like that on this show. It's the beauty of it is that we people are listening to this show because they want to level up. And so if you're alluding to something that's making someone feel a little self-conscious right now in terms of a potential weakness in their game, that's a great thing. If you do feel that from what Justin's saying, don't resist it. Don't feel as though he is, like you said, Justin, like you're not putting any shade on these individuals. You're just bringing an area that you felt was an exposure of yours a few years ago that you've now addressed and turned into a strength. And I think we can all do that. Some people who are fit right now are listening to this being like, that's great for you, man. I've been doing this for 10, 15 years. Cool. If you're listening to this and thinking that, great. But what is that area in your world that you are very much hoping that no one is able to reveal, because it's a weakness, it's a glaring area that you've wanted to address for a long time that you've chosen not to. And quite honestly, I can probably think of one or two of my own right now, especially just this idea that, hey, we all have these things, we all have these areas in our world that need to be addressed at a certain point, and you've just gone and done that. And I think that's what we need to hear more stories of, is that willingness to just simply acknowledge, this is an area that I need to improve. This is an area that I see myself having greater value and being more capable of. So therefore, now I'm ready to go do the work to grow in that area. That's what this show's all about. And so what I'm hearing from you here, man, is very much an encouragement for people listening to go and identify these areas that they need to, that could be considered weaknesses, that have the potential to become a strength in time. And what has it done for you in terms of now where else you find potential capabilities in yourself? So clearly health was one that you've addressed in the last few years, but now that you've found more of these habitual components to how you're going to implement and sustain that, what has it done in your life to now consider other areas as well where you can certainly see some growth?
I mean, it gave me the confidence to go out on my own and open a business and partner with the right people. That's the biggest one for me. I would have never done that. I was happy making a nice salary working for a large national insurance agency, and thought I was going to die and retire at my desk kind of mentality. But now I'm more confident to take some ownership in myself and my business, and I'm not just locked into Louisiana. So I have clients in Minnesota, Florida, Texas, had a couple in California, and the internet has given me the ability to be able to just connect with somebody virtually. And if you connect on my platforms, you know what you're getting before you sign up. Like you're going to, and obviously more people are receptive to Zoom type of relationships, but also I remember flying to California for this opportunity, and I paid for the flights myself. So I was like, okay, this is going to cost me $1,000. Hotel was $200. I'm in this trip like $1,500, and I'm like, it's either I'm going to win or I'm going to lose. But if you don't take the chance, you don't know. And so I bet on myself a lot this last couple of years, and I'm currently betting on myself again.
Okay, so you're addressing something now that is not easy for the average person. I say average, I don't mean that in terms of your performance or your results. I just mean this in general. For most people, we struggle with taking a chance, betting on ourselves. And so what I've heard through your story is that when we put the work into ourselves and we build that confidence in ourselves, we now position ourselves to take on maybe some greater risk, to see ourselves as something that is worth investing in. Am I capturing that accurately?
Yeah, I hated public speaking. I record myself every day with my camera. I'm speaking on stage in front of like a couple hundred people in February. I would
Nice.
have never done that, but that's because I took the like ownership and being humble and said, I'm going to record myself. I'm going to educate people on what I know well, and I'm going to gravitate to people that like me. And one of my carrier friends and colleagues are like, hey, we have a engagement coming up in February. We'd like you to speak at it. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. I've never spoke on stage at all,
Yeah.
but I'm going to figure it out.
Yeah.
So I just think this, like, I hate that movie, Yes Man. I forgot. It came out like 10 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like, I've said yes to anything because I'm like, man, okay, if that can get me here. And I think that's what we when we're younger, we're afraid to be like, I've never done it before, but they don't need to know that. The people watching you, they're going to go to that presentation, be like, oh, Justin's spoke on stage before, he's had to. They don't know that I'm sweating underneath and, trying to memorize what I'm presenting.
Yeah.
But I think that's what we see everybody at the pedestal, but you don't know that like if it's their first presentation or their 300th. So I think that's y'all got to start somewhere. You said 300 episodes, so but your first 5 were not good.
Right. Absolutely. No, you couldn't have got it any better, and it's why I'm so thankful that people kept saying yes to come back on, because when they listened to the first 5 or 10 episodes, I was like, yeah, it's not a great example of how I want this show to go. And if I were to go back and listen to those, I'd probably cringe. But at the same time, I was in that same headspace, over 7 years ago when we started this show. And I love that you're identifying this idea of just giving it a try. But at the same time, you bring up a point that comes up. We've heard both sides of the should I say yes to everything? Should I be saying no more? We've heard this this argument has come up so many times on the show, and the context of it is always so important. It's like, here you are as someone who has identified a new way to grow in your world. You've decided to start a business, and with that comes the need sometimes to say yes to things that otherwise make us incredibly uncomfortable, like speaking on a stage in front of a couple hundred people. I've done that myself now a number of times over the last few years, but that came with a first initial yes before I even had the speech ready, before I was aware of what it was that was going to actually bring value to the audience. But you start by saying yes, and then you give yourself enough credit that you're capable of actually then showing up and delivering on what it is you've committed to. And it sounds as though you're aware of the ways, the pitfalls, and all the potential traps you could fall into, let's say with this example of the speech, but you see enough value in yourself, you see enough ability in yourself to be able to say, you know what, I can say yes to this, and I can bet that Justin's going to figure out a way to deliver come that time in a few months from now, right?
Yeah, but it's also the fact of like when I talk to my wife, I'm like, I'm tired of people telling me that I'm good every day. Like that bugs me internally. And like asking to go on stage is like validation of like I'm doing the right thing. But the person in my head, I'm just like, I'm not there yet. Why are you asking me? Why don't you ask Steve? I think he's better than me. And if you're in my industry, but I still have some self-doubt and fear, but I'm also like, I'm doing the things that I need to do to get my name out, because, in my business, people don't really, they recognize the logo sometimes, but 75% of the time you're like, hey, Justin's my insurance guy. He can help you with health insurance. And that's what I want my name to be. And you get your name out by building a personal brand, by doing things like Gary Vaynerchuk and, Alex Hormozy, where they're getting their name out. Like, do you know what those two companies do? I do, because I study them. But the average person's like, oh, I see Gary on TV talking about the Jets, but they don't know that he's got all these different companies. So I think that's what I've been trying to build for the last 3 years that I've worked on my personal brand, is just brand awareness.
Yeah. And It's interesting, but I want to get to brand awareness because there's that word awareness, which I think is always such a fun word to explore with people. But I do want to touch on something before I let it go past without mentioning it, is this idea of self-doubt. Because here you are as someone now that's established themselves in one particular industry, but as you now choose to go towards business ownership, there's different ways you're now having to establish yourself in that same industry. So, I mean, in your opinion, does self-doubt ever go away? Do we ever conquer it at any point?
Nope, it's always there, whether you like it or not. You just have more money in the bank account, and you have a bigger team to justify like your existence. But you're always going to lose a group. You're always going to win a group. And when you lose, you're like thinking like, what did I do wrong? When you win, you know, it's like the baseball, like the football thing. It's the 24-hour rule here. Celebrate the win for 24 hours. Out of that, you're going to lose one tomorrow. That's that self-doubt. You're just like, what did I do wrong in the business relationship? Was it me personally? No, it's just someone else came in there and said something that you maybe have told them, but they said it in a different way. Or it's the brother-in-law of the owner that just got in the insurance business. So you can't take the business too personal. As much as, and I say that, I take it very personal when I win or lose. Because you're just so invested. Like my average time to close a client is a year or two. So you're engaging with someone for over a year just for them to say next year. Then you do it again. You're like, okay. So it took 2 years. I have a client that I'm meeting with, or a prospect, and they're not a client yet, but I'm meeting with them on Wednesday. It's like 5+ years that I've been talking to this lady.
Right.
Like she knows everything about me. I know everything about her. But is she going to say this year? Yes. You know.
Yeah. That is, I love that this has come up because it is, I mean, we've never been in a time in history where folks have been less patient about results and change. You know, if they invest in change, they want to see it instantly. If they invest in results, they want to see them instantly. And you're working in this world, like you said, that is so relationship heavy that the investment in the relationship, as anybody knows, a relationship worth having in your life does not come from one interaction. And you work in an industry that is so relationship heavy, and that people aren't going to just say yes the first time you pitch at them, for example. And here you are meeting with someone in a few days who you've been talking to for over 5 years, and you still don't know. You still don't know whether it's going to be an absolute. You can't guarantee if it's going to be a yes, no matter how great you feel about the relationship. Where have you developed that patience from, or how have you developed that patience just to simply say, this is another year, it's another opportunity, let's keep investing in the relationship, you never know, and then just to move past the potential rejection, so to speak, knowing that, hey, 12 months from now, I'm going to get another at bat. I'm going to give it another go. So how have you developed that patience to keep doing it this way?
Well, she's engaging with me because of the stuff I put on social media, and I've just explained that. Like, my goal for social media is just to say how screwed up the American healthcare system is, and I think you know, as someone not being from the United States, it's frustrating to deal with. So the content that I put out there is that plus the insurance stuff, and she's like, "Hey, I've been following your stuff for a while since you've been posted. We got hit with a rough renewal. You know, we'll bring you in this time." But like, people don't call you when it's great. They don't call you when they get the 2-3% rate increase. They call you when they get the 40%, and they're like, "Hey, we need you to fix this." Yeah. And I'm like, man, I could have fixed it 3 years ago. We wouldn't have to deal with this. But I'm in a very reactive business. Like, relationships are important, but if your guy or girl can't deliver on what they're presenting, that's when they call somebody else. And who knows if I can deliver, but I know the strategies that I can implement are going to save people money. It's just the willingness to do it.
Yeah. I'm actually hearing that patience it's another result of confidence. You know, for you to have that patience in a relationship, patience in a result can come from just that confidence in yourself. So it all comes back to that initial way that you responded to that first question, is by investing in ourselves, by being sure of ourselves, by knowing ourselves, the kind of content we put out there, the kind of ways in which we show up in the world, we just have more confidence in it because we just become more aware that what we represent is what we want to represent, which brings me to that word awareness that you brought up earlier of the brand awareness. Like, yes, we're in a time where we are considered a walking, talking brand, especially for we business owners. But at the same time, I think that word awareness sometimes gets lost because it's a two-dimensional word. It's not just how you're being seen, it's also how you see yourself. And so I would love just for you to maybe, help people understand what that level of investment can be now. I don't want to say should be, because I don't want to imply that we all should be brand aware, but I do want to just simply bring this idea to the table of what could that look like? What does it look like for you, Justin, when you think about the way you're investing in your brand awareness at this point?
Well, I think it starts with just like you are a walking billboard, whether you realize it or not. And I think about all the attorneys that exist in this marketplace. I won't start naming them, but I want free advertisements. But everybody in Baton Rouge.
Right.
Do you know if they're a good attorney? No.
No idea.
But we know their name, we know their number. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what I want to represent. I want people to know that Justin Burgess will do your insurance, and he does it with the same work ethic that he puts in his personal life that he's going to put in his business life. I'm not lazy when it comes to business. I'm lazy in other things. I don't like doing the dishes or washing clothes. I'll admit that on air. But I'm very good at managing my client relationships. I think you answer your emails, you answer your phone calls, and you do what you say you're going to do. And if you don't, then they'll go find someone that does. But I think that's what I want to portray about on online. I think I went to my high school reunion maybe a couple of years ago, and a bunch of my friends came up to me like, "Man, you look very successful." And I'm like, I don't feel that way, but they think because we're doing social media, we're doing podcasts, we're putting ourselves out there that we're successful. And I'm saying, I just have a louder microphone than you are, and you're not doing it. But I think we resonate with the people that are, pulling back the curtains and sharing what it is to live a day in your life. And my goal is to document my life, running a business, family, and I want to do some client relationships. I want to have a client let me record the interaction between us. I haven't had anybody say yes to that yet. But I think
why is that important to you? Why is it important to you to record something like that?
Well, my business is all about transparency right now. Like Mark Cuban is in the pharmacy game because his company's called Cost Plus Drugs. He's transparent on the price of drugs. Brokers are supposed to disclose compensation to their employer clients. So there's that level of transparency. I want to do the same, but like record a client meeting, like the options that I show, record everything, and just like make it more like day in the life vlog style. But I want to be like, hey, go watch this video if you want to see how I do things. Because my fear is like if someone asks me like, hey, can you give me some references? Yeah, I'm going to give you the best 3. Everybody's going to do that. Right. But like, here, go watch this video of how I help this employer client, with a tough increase. It shines a light on your competitors. They're going to start looking at what you're doing, and they already are. Like if I pulled up my LinkedIn analytics, most of my views are competitors. But that's, I mean, I'm not a threat to them, but they think I'm a threat. But I'm just, like, why are they looking at me? That's what my head goes. I'm not doing anything that you can't. I just don't like that like people always talk about how our company can do this. Like we're the best. Okay, what about yourself? Like, I don't like people in my industry will open a door, shake the hand, but they really bring in like a solutions expert behind the scenes to like be the self-funded expert or the, I'm like, okay, what are you bringing for me? Are you the guy that just answers the phones and comes to the golf tournament? Are you the guy that's like actually doing the work? I'm a mix of both. Like I have a team behind me to support me for things, but like I do also like doing the stuff like spreadsheet wise and the data side. That's just, I want to earn my keep.
Yeah. And that's, there's going to be so many different perspectives and opinions on what you should do, what you're responsible for when it comes to business ownership and things like that. But there's something you said in there that I think anybody listening to this can take away as a powerful question is like, are you doing, well, I want to make sure I'm asking the question right, because what you said is, I'm not doing anything that you can't. So there's something about that statement where immediately I'm like, okay, so what's the question equivalent of that? Is there anything I'm not doing currently that others are, or is there anything that is simple or I could be doing that I'm choosing not to? Because that's what you're alluding to in what you just shared there, is this idea that, hey, listen, you can come look at everything that I'm doing. As far as I'm concerned, I have such comfort in who I am and how I do what I do. I don't need to be in any way, nervous about the fact that you're going to see how I do what I do and why I do it that way. But just know that everything that I'm doing, you can also be doing, but for whatever reason, you choose not to. And so I think that's a competitive advantage for anyone listening to this. Is like, can you start to identify the areas in your life, in your world, in your business, in your career, where you are simply saying, I know I'm doing what I need to be doing, especially the things that most people are choosing not to do. And that's what it sounds like you take great pride in that. It's this idea that I know deep down that I'm probably doing more of the things that others are choosing not to do, whether that be on a professional or a personal level as well.
Yeah, and I'm looking up the people that I respect, like the Gary V's, the Hermose's. Like, if you want to steal something from me, go ahead and steal it. Obviously, don't take it word for word, but like, you can only say so many things, like in our industry, certain ways. Like, you're gonna eventually steal content from somebody, but
Right.
you just gotta be fearful of, like, okay, people are gonna engage with you. I get a lot of, like, not hate comments, but like when I post up, it kind of go in like a comment war back and forth. And I had one where I had to like block the guy because I was like, man, I can't take you. And I've never done that. But the side of me, I was like, man, if I don't block him, he's going to help me boost my engagement up to meet other people. But my social media stuff, like, I don't do it for the likes and the comments. It's like, I do look at it a lot, but I'm like, man, I met you from social media because you saw that we had some people in Connect. Like, that's the goal for me, is like the connections that I'm meeting organically with doing a little bit of work. Like, I have it automated to where it does most of the stuff for me, and I'm not actually like posting every single day by myself. But it's like, do I want to invest time cold calling or going to networking groups that are not going to bear any fruit for me? Or do I want to invest time in recording a video that's going to go out to hundreds of thousands of people with a click of a button? And then I might get someone like Steve call me. Well, what if Steve was a CFO or an HR director?
Right.
Versus that SHRM event, Society of Human Resources networking luncheon. There's not going to be anybody there that wants to talk to me because they're engaged with the people that are already go to those events.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean for the people that, like, if I hire a producer, someone like me under me, I'm gonna say, look, you need to find your thing, and this is my thing. If your thing is going to networking events and you enjoy that, that's your thing. Mm-hmm. That's why I made the comment about knitting or bowling. Like, I don't care if you're active in fitness. If you like hunting or archery, like, if you go to the archery range, you're going to meet people that you like and just start talking to them like humans, and you'll find out, oh, that guy owns this company. Mm-hmm. Like, the couple of guys in my CrossFit gym, one owns a Jersey Mike's franchise. We got a couple doctors. I didn't know they were business owners until like 6 months in, because I never asked them. I was just like, hey, Steve, how you doing? Right. Nice to see you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that there is that, you use the word community a little while ago, and it's something that not only I know to be true, but it's also something that we invest in within our business, is that we have communities, online communities, where high performers engage with other high performers, and the biggest return they get is simply in that engagement. That's it. Like, sometimes, like, they will hit their goals, they will raise the floor of their standards, all these different areas that we're investing, or that they're investing in their individual path. But the main return that they get in all of that work is whether it is the quality of the connections that they're making in this high performing, high stake environment. And that's really what you're alluding to, is if you are a self-proclaimed high performer, if you are ambitious, who are those people in your world that represent that identity? Because if you're not surrounding yourself with those people, whether it be professionally or on a personal level or on a spiritual level, whatever it may be, there are so many different avenues that you can go down and find your group of people that are going to see the world that you need people around you to see it in order to uphold these standards that you're alluding to, Justin. And so for me, I love that I'm getting that from this, because obviously it speaks to so much of what I do, so I couldn't be more of a cheerleader for it. But at the same time, I love that it's you are a walking representation of what it looks like to first do that work on ourselves, to say this is where I see a gap right now, but this is where I see my capability. And then to go one step further and say, who are the people I need around me consistently that are going to ensure that I'm upholding these new standards that I see for myself? And so I'm just curious now, when you look ahead to the future, what does growth look like for you now, knowing that you've gotten what you've gotten from the last 3 years? Paint me a picture 3 years from now. Where are you heading, knowing that you have a formula that clearly is giving you a strong return for the sheer execution of it?
It's surrounding yourself with good people. And right now I'm surrounded with good people around me. So I have my team built out. So, my company, we're not the size of the larger national agencies, but the resources and support that I have are designed specifically to help me grow. So it's surrounding yourself with the right partners and the ones that I believe in personally, meaning like, I don't know if we're allowed to curse, but I have the no asshole rule is what I don't need to work with vendors that don't respect me or my team. So that's the most important thing, is the team that I'm building can support the growth. And it also goes on the employer clients. Like, I don't need to work with them. I don't need to work with everybody. And if you're not nice to me and my team, it's not about the revenue for me. It's about, I want to help employers that care about their money, care about their people. If you're just trying to do this to check a box, I'll still help you, but respect goes a long way. You got to think about it. Me and my team, we're getting yelled at on a daily basis because you can't go pick your drug up. And those thank you text or emails or phone calls like, hey, you just helped this employee save $300 on their drug. Like, she's very thankful. Like, that's what we need, because we're dealing with negative 40% rate increases. I'm thinking about my groups in May right now. So I'm thinking about the future. And sometimes we forget about what's going on in the present, that someone just says, hey, thank you, man. Appreciate what you did for Laura. Like, that makes my heart, like, that's awesome. Or just like when you're out in the community, you're like, I was at my son's fair and I'm like, I work with that guy, work with that guy. Like, that's cool. But also, like, driving down the interstate, I have a couple clients that have billboards and I'm like, oh, that's one of my clients. Like, the work that I'm doing for that employer, they're putting up advertisements. Like, we're doing good.
Yeah. And what I like about your answer is there's clearly a commitment to simply, hey, listen, if it ain't broke, right? You've got a set of standards that represent a specific kind of return, not in terms of just what you're going to get individually, but what the people around you are going to slowly start to look more and more like, because of these standards that you're
people over profits is my
right. People over profits. I love that. What a great way to capture all of that. And what a great way for us to sort of wrap it up too, man, because I'm just really, really appreciative of all this insight, excited for you too, just in this new chapter of where you're going with your life, starting the business. This episode specifically is going to be coming out right at the beginning of 2026. So even though we're recording this in 2025, it's going to be coming out right at the beginning of 2026. And this is a great discussion for
the new
anybody
year.
who's looking at the year ahead right now,
Yeah. But focus on yourself. I tell everybody, like, this business we think so far in advance. Like, enjoy the time that you're working on right now, because, I'm going to be 1 year older next year and my business is going to be a lot more money in 6 months. But, like, remember what you did when I was working out of my house with no printer. It's just like people forget about the, not grunt work, but the little stuff.
Yep. I mean, I can relate to that in the sense of my office printer is the same printer that I had gifted to me when I first started my business. People were asking me like, family members, like, what do you want for Christmas? I was like, I don't know. Can I get a printer? Because I kind of need it for the office. And I just held on to it. It was a good printer. But it's like little things like that when you first get started. You blink, and then, like you said, it's 3 years later, and you've got a profiting business. You've got lots of people around you, whether it's your business or your career, whatever it is. Things change, things grow, you move on, but you should never be forgetting, obviously, where you came from and what it is you're appreciating in the moment. So, Justin, this is good stuff. Before I let you go, brother, where can we learn more about you? Clearly, you're someone worth following on social media, and this entire conversation is a result of you being active and me being drawn to the way you represent yourself on social media. So where can we learn more about you, brother?
Yeah, LinkedIn / Justin Burgess, big on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. I obviously try to relate it to the platform, but it's very much the same kind of methodology. It's I want people to know what I'm doing in my personal life and how it reflects into the business life. But I post at least 3 to 5 times a day. Depends. But very active. I answer my DMs immediately. So if you shoot me a DM, I'll respond to it. It's all me. I don't have anybody doing it myself or doing it for me. It maybe look like it because it's kind of professional. But yeah, always around.
Well, all that information is going to be available in the show notes, so no need to worry about whether or not you'll be able to find Justin. But in the meantime, brother, just best of luck in these early stages of business, and just with the year ahead. With this, even though we're speaking in 2025, this will come out in 2026, and so it's a nice time to start getting into the habit and the routine of saying Happy New Year and getting you just excited and hopefully creating some momentum around your business heading into this new year, and just all the best with it, brother. I'm excited for you. I have no doubt things are going to be great for you.
Thank you, sir.
And my thanks again to Justin for joining us on this episode. And I want to touch on this idea of self-doubt. There's so much that we covered there that's very much through, let's say, a positive lens, and self-doubt typically gets caught up in more of a negative light, understandably. But with this being at the beginning of a new year, let me just tell you this. You will experience self-doubt this year. You will experience a whole bunch of it, especially if you're a high performer. You will question yourself repeatedly. You will wonder why things aren't the way you thought they would be, and you will eventually fall into a bit of a trap where you question just about anything and everything. Can you give yourself the grace to simply accept that this is going to happen? And if you do that now, you may even get a little bit curious about how you may use these periods of self-doubt to your advantage. Yes, it is possible to use self-doubt to your advantage simply by acknowledging that you are entering a phase, a moment of self-doubt, knowing, hey, listen, I am doubting myself right now. In fact, you may even assign time to do it, to actually explore it with curiosity. Instead of just simply diagnosing and criticizing, can you get curious and ask questions around these areas that you doubt? Can you eventually reveal something that you can do better in the future? That is what self-doubt can be. It can be a tool for you, but only if you know you're exercising it. Only if you know that you are more than likely going to be guilty of it. Plan for it. Get ahead of it. And then start to use it, like I said, as a way to become more aware of what it is you do, how it is you do it, why it is you do it. This is where we can start to see significant growth because of some of this very normal, self-critical, self-doubtful behavior. So just some food for thought to leave you with. And as we get started in this 2026 year, I just want to continue to wish you all the best of luck in anything and everything that you're doing, but to also make sure that you are subscribed to the show to have as much of a competitive advantage in this year as possible. So take the time to subscribe right now. Make sure you're also going back and checking out a variety of episodes from the 300 episodes that we've already had that speak to you, that work for you. And hey, if you're not sure, just listen to them all and you're going to get some great stuff. I guarantee you that. But like I said, in the meantime, best of luck with anything and everything you've got going on in your world. Look forward to doing this again with you very soon. Bye for now.
Thank you for tuning in to GrowthReady. If you liked what you heard and are feeling ready to grow, be sure to leave a 5-star rating, subscribe to the show, and share the episode with someone you know is ready to fuel their growth journey today. We love our community, so don't hesitate to reach out to us at podcast@growthready.com. And until next time, we are Growth Ready, and you will be too.